Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new episode of Music Theory FAQS, all right? Today we're going to be discussing why music theory is important, okay? Now, there's two camps with this. The first camp is you're a music theory nerd, you learn everything, you absorb it, you put it to good use, and you don't complain, right? And then you have this other camp of people who think that music theory is unnecessary, or it's too difficult, or it somehow hinders your creativity. I mean, I don't have any good analogies for how that's ridiculous, but music theory is just simply the science of how music works and what doesn't and why. Okay, it's very simple. It's like learning laws, right? Just so you can have a better life, right? You learn the laws of the land, you have a better life, right? Learning things like notes, intervals, scales, chords, chord progressions, how songs are put together, how to improvise, how to analyze a song, and reverse engineer what the composer did to create the song and make it what it was, so that you can then turn around and steal those ideas for yourself. If you don't study music theory, then you're just guessing, all right? Now, an instrument like the guitar is a really interesting and fun instrument to use for people who don't know music theory, because you can find patterns and shapes very easily on the guitar. You can find kind of what sounds good and what doesn't, and you can duplicate those patterns all over the neck. And it's a really easy instrument, in my opinion, to discover things that could sound good. Whereas the piano, it's a bit more random, and if you don't know what the chords and the scales are, you're literally just making noise, right? Learning theory shouldn't be seen as necessarily an option. You should just learn music theory. If you're gonna play an instrument, you should learn music theory. Now, if you don't want to become like a super crazy buff music nerd, then just learn the basics. Just learn, some scales and some chords, and learn how to form simple chord progressions. But you do have the option of learning jazz and being able to analyze songs from a harmonic perspective. All right, so you can look at a song, you can figure out the key, you can see what chords are from the key, what chords aren't, where these other chords come from, how does it all fit, and why does it work? And you can do this with music theory. You can't do this just because you play guitar, right? Music theory doesn't hinder your creativity. The more you know about something, the more of an informed decision you can make. So music theory is king. If you're gonna play music, and especially if you're gonna teach music, you need to know music theory, all right? It's the only way to go. It does not hinder progress. It does not hinder creativity. It only adds information and insight into the big picture, all right? So people that are just starting out in music, they feel like they're swimming in an ocean of confusion. Everywhere they look, there's a concept they're not familiar with. Once you learn these concepts in the proper order, you can then fit all of that info into the palm of your hand, and you can see it all for what it is, all right? Think about it this way. You could get in your car, and you could start it, and you could drive. You could technically go anywhere. As long as you have your car, you can go anywhere. But wouldn't it be easier if you had a map and you knew how to read it? Wouldn't it be just easier to just get there like as fast as possible with as few interruptions and wrong turns and stupid decisions as possible? Music theory allows you to look at other people's music, analyze it, see what it's made of, take elements of what it's made of and implant it in your own music. Don't be afraid, all right? It's actually really freaking simple when you break it down. You learn intervals, learn what they are and what they sound like, and then called scales, all right? And I want you to realize that scales have different sounds, and those sounds, I like to consider those sounds like flavors, all right? If If you want something exotic, you're going to play Phrygian dominant. If you want something happy-go-lucky, you're probably going to stick with major. And everything in between. All right? Chords, because chords are formed out of those scales. And different scales produce different chords, and different chords produce different sounds. And in Western music, we've developed this system that kind of, in as much as music theory has been created, it's more been discovered, right? Like the things that work, it's all math at the end of the day. It's all math, it's all formulas, it's all patterns, it's all repetition, it's all observation. The reason the 5 chord resolves to the 1 chord, nobody made that happen. It just does. It just exists. All right, somebody discovered this stuff and put it down on paper and worked out this beautiful system so that we can communicate with each other and ourselves while listening to and or creating music. All right, music theory is king.